All right, everyone. So we are going to answer another age-old debate, very important to the Avatar community, as in which show had the best comedy, Avatar: The Last Airbender or The Legend of Korra. You know, the way we're going to do this is all of us are just going to express our opinions. To be honest, I'm kind of split, so I'm going to ask somebody who has a stronger opinion and hear their opinions.
You're gonna hand it over to me, is what you mean, right?
Basically, but after we hear everyone else's opinion, I'm gonna explain why I'm split, because I definitely have some points on why I'm a little bit tied. But let's go, Scott. Come on, tell us which show's better.
All right, you want me to give all of it right now, or just a little bit, like my stance, everyone's stance first, or like just?
I want to hear everyone's stance first.
Okay, so personally, I think Last Airbender for sure is overall funnier. Yeah, that's my stance.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have to go in the same direction. I'm leaning towards Legend or towards The Last Airbender, not towards Legend of Korra. I'm leaning towards Last Airbender.
Is this an imposter talk?
No, fortunately, this is not an imposter talk. But I will say that I do go with Last Airbender, specifically because I think that show has more comedic characters than Legend of Korra, although arguably the Legend of Korra characters, or the comedic characters in Legend of Korra, are funnier. That's the argument that is in my head. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. We can go into it as we go along, but I'll let the others share their initial thoughts.
All right, what about you, Christine?
I actually just started to rewatch Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I have to say, I think the comedy is superior in my opinion, and they have it in almost every episode as well. And they do have a lot, to OC's point, they have a lot of comedic characters.
I think the comedy is only slightly different between Korra and Avatar: The Last Airbender, in the way that maybe the Korra books, the comedy was a little more modern. I don't know how to explain that, but I just feel like some of the dialogue was a little more modern, a little more adult. But I agree with OC, where I think there was more comedic characters in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I mean that not just through dialogue, but through physicality. I feel like there were a lot of characters that would do a lot of slapstick, silly things, more so than there were in Legend of Korra. So I think maybe the comedy wasn't better in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but there was more of it, and it was still very good. So I think Avatar: The Last Airbender has the edge.
Okay. So this is
seems to be a
question.
consensus.
It definitely seems to be a consensus. But I guess one way I was looking at this is I guess I said which show had more humor. I guess that's the frame. I guess what I was trying to say is which show made you laugh more, and which one you actually were hysterically having fun with more compared. But going to this whole thing, the reason why I'm kind of split is because although I definitely agree that Avatar: The Last Airbender, I mean, there's usually a joke every 2 minutes in that show. So comedy is a big aspect in that show, as well as I feel like there's a lot of episodes dedicated to humor, like the what's it called, Nightmares and Daydreams, or literally what's it called? Oh my god,
The cactus one.
Well, that's not an episode dedicated to humor. That's the desert. But I'm talking about the what's it called, the Embers Island play. That example is an episode where they dedicate to humor. I just feel like the characters in Korra, in my eyes, were a lot more funnier. I feel like
really,
yeah, I feel like Milo,
yeah,
Bolin, Varric, all those characters. I feel like the humor there was way more on point. Mm-hmm. I mean, Avatar had funnier moments. I mean, funnier moments, or at least the moments. There's consistent funnier moments. But when Korra goes in, it's for the most part.
I have to agree with you on that, because that was part of my own hesitation as well. Because the characters, Milo is one of my favorite characters, specifically because of how funny he is. And Varric, of course, is he steals the show whenever we see him. And then Bolin is just like consistently funny. He's like the Sokka equivalent in Korra. So
See, okay, here's where we disagree. At least for me, I personally, okay, Varric, I agree with you guys. He's hilarious. But for me, early seasons and early books, however you want to say it, of Bolin, he didn't quite hit it for me as much. But then like season 4, book 4, Bolin and Varric together, that was like comedy gold.
I was just gonna say that when they're stuck in the train as well.
Yeah, the thing about that is I feel like Avatar: The Last Airbender is just overall funnier because the cast is made up of comedic characters or people who can be comedic, and then you have Korra where sort of half of them are more comedic, like Bolin is more comedic, not so much Mako, not so much Asami, in my opinion. And then when you put a comedic character like Bolin with Varric, finally, in a good situation, like good story situation, it really hit home for book 4. But like in book 2, it was like kind of whatever's. Bolin was just doing his mover thingy, and it was like whatever's. I didn't care about that, to be honest.
I don't know. I kind of like the Eska thing. The Eska and Bolin dynamic was pretty funny as well.
With Aubrey Plaza.
I see. This is my thing, right? I feel like with Airbender, so I feel like there's a lot more funnier moments, and we get to see funny moments with characters. But as far as comedic aspect, other than I mean, I guess you can say with Sokka, and then you have a little bit with Ty Lee, and sometimes with Iroh. I don't really, again, it just seems like there's just more funnier moments with the characters. It's just like a little, okay, there's a side of Katara that makes me laugh a little bit. And I guess because it's a kid's show, sometimes I feel like it could be, goes back to that 2-minute rule where it's like, okay, there's a 2-minute, we gotta put a joke. Otherwise the kids lose their attention spans, right? So that's where my contention goes with Avatar: The Last Airbender, as opposed with Korra. Even though there's like, again, not just with Bolin, that's a comic relief for Varric. You know, you also have Boomy. You also have Milo. You also have, like, they have a bunch of just characters that are just meant to be comic reliefs. And then it's just like, once the dynamic is set up, it just, like, I feel like the punchline just hits in the nail sometimes.
Yeah.
So, not to mention, sometimes I feel like the unexpected humor is also really good on point with Korra. Like what Crystal said, where it's like you have those adult jokes. Like that one time where it's in book 2 where there's like a spirit, and one of the soldiers is like, man, if I wanted to look like this, I would have stayed in my mom's house, like something like that, which is like, it's just a very subtle, like that's where I feel like those jokes really hit in the nail.
Yeah, I think that my issue with Legend of Korra is that while those characters were very funny, I think that the problem that I had with the show was that I would be laughing, and then it would go to like something annoying sometimes, like especially in season 2, where it was like the story is not as strong as opposed to, you know, Last Airbender, where all the seasons have strong stories and there's nothing to like distract me from the humor and the comedy in it. Whereas with Korra, it's like hit or miss. It's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be annoyed in this episode or if I'm gonna like have fun in this episode.
I guess I can go with
Interesting.
you. Well, that's an interesting way of looking at it, especially because we're just talking about comedy. But I definitely will say that, again, because comedy is not a big aspect to Korra, and in Airbender it is, like, they actually play with it within the series. I can see that where it is sort of like, it can be a distraction or something like that. So
just to give an example, in case listeners are like, okay,
yeah, because
why doesn't he think Bolin's funny? Well, so like for me, I'm like, one of the big examples was book 3, when they were checking out Aiwei, there we go.
Yeah, Aiwei.
And then Bolin was like, oh, what if he's invisible, blah, 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 or whatever. And then Mako was just like, seriously? That's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, can Bolin really be this foolish? Like, immature?
Yeah.
He does have, like, those types of qualities to him.
Yeah, but that's why I loved book 4 Bolin, because he matured a lot more. And then like his chemistry with Varric was just perfect in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, now that we're going more in depth about it, it's triggering my memory. But I do think that the comedy in Korra is a little bit like more mature sometimes versus the comedy in Avatar
know,
The Last Airbender.
That example that I just gave, that was just like
Yes.
stupid.
Well,
That's true, but like
but that's
there's
because his character's meant to be like that.
there's different parts though, but like
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
most
but, like-
part, I think like the majority of the comedy versus the majority of the comedy in Avatar, like there's like an
yeah.
age range there. I don't know if maybe it's because like maybe the
Yeah.
creators thought like, oh, the people who would watch Avatar The Last Bender have grown up and maybe we should have like
Yeah.
different scripted, jokes.
Yeah.
But I
yeah.
appreciate it. I
mean, there are,
definitely
like,
do.
I do feel like there are a fair amount of clever humor in Last Airbender as well. It's not like all slapstick, just completely kids.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree, but
there's
majority,
definitely- okay,
like
yeah.
there's, I feel like most of it, since it's centered towards kids, like most of it has not, I don't want to say slapstick, but it's very straightforward comedy. There is cleverness to it, but not like all of it.
Yeah, there's definitely some jokes that like I don't really laugh anymore. Like the part where Sokka goes, "Did Appa ate Momo?" Like I understand the joke behind it, but it's like I kind of just it's one of those things where it's like I can tell what they're trying to do. So sometimes it comes off a little
Yeah.
bit forced, but again, like you said, it's like a kid show, so it's like I can imagine being a kid and stuff like that, or even when
I still like it though.
You've just gotten old. That's it.
I mean, hey, if you can name some of the more clever jokes, I mean, with Airbender,
Pretty much everything from Iroh, I feel.
I mean,
Iroh is key.
they straight up had Sokka tripping out on Cactus.
Yeah.
I know that.
Okay, you guys are thinking of Sokka. Sokka, like you guys said,
They
Sokka's like the
dedicated.
equivalent of Bolin. So yeah, you got to think about the other characters.
Yeah,
The other characters all have their moments too. Like,
Yeah.
especially Iroh, like he'll be deceptive with it, where he's wise, but then he'll like crack a joke here, and it kind of takes you, it catches you off guard. Which
well,
is
what's your favorite Iroh joke that he did? That
my
he said?
favorite Iroh joke? Let's see. There's like. I mean, just the image of him like fighting in his loincloth is just
That is pretty funny.
hilarious. Although that wasn't intentionally like, I mean, it was comedic on the writer's part, but it wasn't like comedic on the character part. But that's like one of the funny things. And I mean, just like, especially at the beginning when he's playing off of Zuko and his like seriousness, and he's just like, have some jasmine tea and all of that stuff. He's just like, stop being so uptight and all of that.
Yeah.
think
One of the scenes that I remember clearly is like when Zuko, when they were training and talking about like lightning and stuff like that. And then Iroh was talking and then they were making tea or whatever, and then Zuko was like, "Oh, is that why we're drinking tea?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." it was just, I don't know. It was funny.
Yeah.
I do appreciate, Zuko doesn't have a lot of comedic elements because he's such a serious character. And there was a part of Avatar The Last Airbender that really showed his character arc and a comedic element to him. And it was when he was confessing to the frog
Oh yeah.
and trying to like say what he was going to say to like join the Avatar team. But I thought that was a pretty funny bit.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah, even Azula is funny. Even the villains are funny.
I mean,
I
I'm
was thinking
pretty
of
sure,
Azula
dude,
too,
I'm
and just
pretty
her sheer like evilness that's like almost stereotypical even to her friends. Like when she like almost like is trying to like strong arm Ty Lee into joining her at the circus and like basically like sabotages her performance. Like that's unintentionally funny to me because she's being so like just sheer evil. I'm like, dude, that's your friend. Like I don't know.
Or when she tries to date. When she tries to be like a
that was
normal
funny
person.
moment. Yeah, the beach episode.
Yeah.
But see, that goes back to like what I mean, like the scenarios itself. But I
Right,
mean,
it's like more funny on the part of the writers,
Yeah.
where they
counts.
write funny situations.
That's funny
and-
situation. But I definitely think the Red Lotus had some really good funny moments, especially when Bolin was trying to make friends with Kazan. Like 2 out of 3, that's actually a pretty good one.
Yeah.
In fact, honestly, I think Kazan is like the underrated funny character because he always has the funny moments, like the part where Zahir is kissing his girl and he's like, seriously, dude, like, come on, man. So, but yeah, but
man,
overall,
it's not Bolin, it's Kazan.
yeah, Kazan was
Like,
the
don't
thing.
you remember that moment when they were all trapped and then Bolin was trying to metal bend and he couldn't, and then he was like questioning whether or not he could. He just seems so stupid to me sometimes. It's just mind-boggling.
Scott's rant.
Okay,
on
Dang.
Bolin.
I like
Maybe you
book
just
4
don't
Bolin.
like him.
No, I like book 4 Bolin a lot. He's one of my favorite characters by the time he reaches book 4. But
It's
like
a
for
slow
some reason the earlier seasons I just especially book 3, he just, it's too many dumb moments. I feel
Too
they
many
dumbed him
dumb
down or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there are some weird moments like that, but yeah, again, I think after hearing this, it's like again, I guess from my opinion, what I'm getting from this is like, again, Airbender, clearly the dynamic of the humor works better in Airbender because it's meant to be more of a funnier show, so like that really helps it, as opposed to Korra kind of has a little bit hits or miss moments. Sometimes like the humor kind of makes it seem like sometimes if like with Bolin there'd be moments where it's like, shut up Bolin, with the ka stuff like that. So it's like there's moments like that. Other times it's like it's really like on point, you know, like the ending with like Varric and him like stopping things, and it's just like you don't expect certain situations like
Yeah.
that. So it's like,
I mean, I think book 4, Varric and Bolin sort of beat a lot of the like comedic scenes from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
But as a whole, Avatar: The Last Airbender to me is more like funny, like especially like the scene when they figured out that Kuvira was crazy.
Very carried Korra in comedic elements, I want to say.
dang man, don't no love for Milo, man. Milo's
I know
Milo's great.
Christine.
Milo's
I
funny.
think that Varric pretty much carried it for
Yeah.
people that are like more into like humorous dialogue and stuff like that. It was definitely Varric for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you guys have your opinions, let us know in the comments which show you found more funnier, and send us a favorite line from each show so we can laugh.
Yeah.
Later.
Awesome.
Like
Awesome.
and subscribe.